The only way to get to know a vehicle really has to be getting behind the wheel, and what better way to do that than a weekend excursion. Hey, and welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now behind me is the all-new 2015 Hyundai Sonata. Now this is a limited model. It really took that premium to the next level, and the best part about it, it really paid off on our weekend trip to the mountains. Now with any weekend excursion, the vehicle we're test driving really has to deliver that on premium comfort on the inside, the cargo to boot, and of course it doesn't hurt to have some power in the hood. Now for 2015, there has been a little bit of a redesign on the exterior. Is it a stark contrast from where we've become? Not really. Now when you look at the profile, it still has that coupe-like roof design. Now really a lot of the enhancements really is this horizontal line that goes through here. We noticed on the previous models maybe it arches just a little bit. Now there is a little bit of different design on the headlight assembly and overall kind of chiseling effect here for 2015 versus a more slope-like approach in the previous model. As you sweep down the profile of the Sonata, really those chiseled lines are what you're going to notice first compared to last year. That kind of softened around the edges has been replaced. A lot of chiseled lines, especially on that hood and again down this midline. So really the theme being more of a rigid design compared to last year. Now where else is rigid is in the new platform, using an advanced high-strength steel, giving this a lot stiffer body, especially coupled with the new suspension ride. Now by the numbers overall, it's about 191 inches long with a stretch wheelbase at 110. Now the EPA class labels this as a large. If you look at Hyundai's literature, it labels as a mid-size. Either way, it fits the bill for our test drive for the weekend, really throwing everything we wanted on the inside and in the trunk. Last but not least is the wheel size, with the base models coming at 16-inch, with the limited version coming standard with 17-inch wheels. One of the biggest changes for 2015 has to be the front end, especially with the new headlight design and lower fog lights. Now both of them come with LED lighting and have more of a menacing-like approach for 2015. Now that's kind of a standard across the board, as a lot of vehicles are giving a front end that's a lot more pronounced and a lot more aggressive. Now as you sweep around, the grille's going to be a little bit more refined for 2015, and there are larger intakes. Now one thing you'll notice on this limited model is that kind of radar-like inset, which we'll get into in a minute. With this limited model comes a little bit extras, and we're referring to the kind of premium accents you're going to find. Now that is referred to as chrome, and I'm not a big fan of it and really want to downplay it the most I can. Now where you're going to find this vehicle really is around the windows and along this horizontal beam all the way down, just a hint of chrome, a little bit more on the door handles. And as you sweep down, this may be where they went too far with a really reflective chrome accent down here. Now I'm not sure if it's for safety to keep you from tripping to get in the car, but it is just a little too bright for my liking. One of the biggest features on any vehicle for me has to be the key system and really the access I'm getting inside the vehicle. Now this did come with a smart key system, pretty much allowing you to leave it in your pocket and forget about it. Now a lot of vehicles that come with this really means you can go up to any door, pull on the handle, it's going to open right up. Now it's not the system here on the Sonata. Instead, you either have to be on the driver's door or the front passenger, go up to the corresponding button and press it. Now on the driver's side, if you press it one time, that's going to open this door. Press it again, it's going to unlock all the rest. Now that is a nice feature, really letting it climb inside this vehicle with simple ease. Now one better feature is actually at the back end of the vehicle, so swing around and take a look. Now this has to be one of the best features, and it's right here at the back of the vehicle. Now what you do is you walk up to it, kind of hang out for a second. The vehicle actually knows you're here, and it pops the trunk. Now picture you going up here with all your gear on that weekend excursion like we did, and you just don't have the ability to even pull on the handle, more or less click a button. Here it's going to know you're there, wait around for about 3 seconds, and the trunk's going to rise to the occasion. Now for this weekend excursion, it was just a party of 2 and our luggage to go with it, but one thing we added to the equation was my golf bag. Now when you swing around to the cargo area on the Sonata, first thing you'll notice is the huge oversized opening. Something you don't see across the board is a lot of manufacturers going more with a sculpted rear end, which means they're minimizing that vast opening into the cargo area. Now by the numbers, the Sonata really tops out the competition, weighing in at about 16.3 cubic feet of space. That really is going to allow you to have a lot of access and really handled our golf bag and of course the luggage to go with it. Now no matter how much cargo you have, there's going to be those occasions where it's still just not enough, so a lot of vehicles of course have that second fold down rear seat. Now in this case they made it a lot simpler. Sometimes you have to go inside, unlock the release, pull it down. In this case you pull the handle here and it's actually going to release the seating. Now as you reach in here, kind of a long stretch, but pretty much can fold those seats flat with ease. Now it's kind of a 70-30, 80-20 split, allowing you to either leave one person in place and slide all the gear inside. Last but not least is really what you're going to find under the cargo floor, and that is a full-size spare with all the typical trappings that go with it, with the jack, and everything's really tidied up down here and really there should you need it. One thing I've noticed across the entire Hyundai lineup has to be the excellence you find on the inside. Now this is the limited model, so of course it was to be expected. Now one thing I like is the leather premium seating you're going to find on this model. Now one thing they did is they listened to the buyers and actually include heated and cooled seats up here for the front occupants. Now in the back seat, they don't forget about you, but it is only heated back there. Now by the legroom number, something I find gratifying here in the Sonata is the abundance. Now up front, it's going to be about 45 inches of legroom, way too much to go around, so obviously we can share that with the back seat comfort. Now back there, it's going to be about 35 inches, a little bit on the low side, but again, with all that extra room you have up front, when these seats are slid forward, that's plenty of access and room in the back seat. Now this particular model came with the tech package, which included a lot of things, specifically the huge touchscreen you're going to find up there front and center. Now it has the navigation, and it's about 8 inches big, and that's about average across the board. Now one thing I like is the operation of this. Very little buttons, very little clutter. Everything is housed right here. Now down below is where you're going to kind of find the functionality that ties in with the screen, a kind of typical volume control near the driver and some other function over here. Pretty much everything simplified in one row of buttons. Now as we scroll down, this particular model did have the dual climate controls, really down in your specific temperature with the number, which I like, versus the typical gradient you'll find on other vehicles. Now down here again, simplified buttons, making this whole dash appear nice and simple and sleek. Now last but not least, we talked about a minute ago, is the heated and cooled seats. Now the vented is an option one that's going to cool down your seats in the summer, heated of course being standard on this vehicle. Now this vehicle comes equipped with standard Bluetooth technology, allowing you to kind of connect your devices with ease. But of course you want to go old school method using the USB connection. That's going to be found right underneath this cover. Now there's dual power outlets down here, a single USB connection and auxiliary jack. Now this is a nice place to hook all your devices and kind of store them here when you want them out of the way. Now one thing to note, I do have the iPhone 6 Plus. It actually has to fit in here a little bit cat or corner. Now other devices typically hook up in the center console, not in this vehicle. The center console strictly storage in this vehicle. Now Hyundai continues its all 4-cylinder engine lineup for 2015. Specifically, that's a 2.4 liter gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder engine. Now what that equates to is about 185 horses and 178 foot-pounds of torque. Now that peak power is down just a little bit, as really engineers had shifted the power band downward for better responsiveness in lower RPM situations, typically where customers spend the majority of their time. Now what I really notice across the board is that really the power is what you expect. You hit the gas and it's going to go. Even better on our long, about 600 round trip voyage, really found great numbers and really only one fill up each direction. Now this vehicle comes coupled with a 6-speed automatic transmission with a manual-like mode. You tap it over here. Now this is the 4-cylinder, so I don't expect you to use this that much. And again, only the turbo model kind of comes with those paddle shifters. Now between the front seats, dual cup holders and a nice little niche that held my phone as we went down the road. Now another key feature really is the driving mode. That's going to kind of give you different dynamics. Now one of them is the sport, the economy mode, and the normal. Now we switch between these to really see if there's a huge difference. Maybe not if you're really going to muscle it down the road, but we left it on economy really to get the best bang for your buck at the pump. Last but not least, we did add some bikes on the rear of the vehicle, kind of strapped on there, so when we backed up, of course the parking sensors really wanted to go crazy. We hit this little button here, turn it off, and made life a lot simpler and quieter. With any road trip, one of the key features has to be cruise control. And on this particular model, it actually was a smart cruise control system. Now what it does is actually couple with the radar at the front of the vehicle and pretty much allow you to be in full traffic, and it will sense what the vehicles around you are doing. As the vehicle gets in front of you and slows down, it will actually slow down. As it gets out of the way, the cruise will take back over and go to what you've set. Now I found this to be really instrumental as we went down the road, pretty much allowing me to focus on what's ahead and not worry about the minimal braking that's required in heavy traffic, and really letting the cruise set the pace. With any backseat drivers, comfort is at the forefront, and really key feature has to be legroom. Now, by the numbers, it's about 35 inches on paper, but with really the seat backs being positioned forward, again, with all that space up front, it really actually feels more like 38 or 39 inches because my knees aren't even close to those seats. Now, overall comfort back here is pretty darn well with premium seating, of course. One thing I noticed is that actually the seat bottom seems to be a little bit low, with my knees feeling actually fairly high. Now, what I did like is takes premium to the next level has to be these sun shades. Now, they're built in on the back seat doors, really allowing that sun to be kind of shielded as you're going down the road. Now, one interesting fact is actually not a full shade that powers in the back, something you typically find coupled with these side sunshades. Now, last but not least has to be the center support for these back seat passengers, and it's real nice as you swing it down. Now, this is an oversized kind of console. There's no storage, but there's nice positioning for two huge cups right here in the middle. That does it for this test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Hyundai Sonata. A real big fan of this vehicle and something we've test drive numerous times on numerous weekend excursions. Now, again, this vehicle kind of is that mid-size, full-size luxury sedan market and really delivers everything you expect, from the power under the hood to the interior comfort, and of course that cargo at the rear end. Now, as always, thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior. As always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.